Yo, my boy. What's going on, y'all? It's your boy 360 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing TKOG. And today I'm coming at you guys with my updated flu deck. These birds going crazy, yo. So as you guys know, I took a break from the game. Personal matters. I already discussed that in a few videos and in a community tab post. But yeah, I came back into the game. So yesterday I decided to go back to locals. Hadn't been there in a minute. I think since like July, sometime in July. And I decided the deck that I wanted to take to make my comeback was Flues. I just feel really comfortable with this deck. I was thinking about Sky, I was thinking about Dolls and Maids. I'm like, but I always play those decks. And as much as I love them and their versatility and just, you already know, I can go on a tangent. Excuse me, sorry, just burped. I can go on a tangent about all the different reasons why I feel those decks are just so good in different formats and why they're my main go-tos. I was like, Flu just seems so powerful this format. I just looked at it and I was like, if this deck's allowed to play, even the best decks right now in the format, they just get floodgated out of the game. Like literally, this deck denies the ability to play to all of the good decks right now. And like I just felt like as long as I could chain block a bird, there's so many clutch interactions that I get to deny. I get to summon the Barrier Statue in the middle of a chain link resolving. So like it causes stuff like tier effects to fizzle. Elf won't be able to resolve. You know, you can't summon anything off of, like, it's crazy, dude. Like, it's crazy. Like, even teching with Robina, like, if you chain blocking cards like Robina and getting Crow in the middle of chains, it causes you, like, now you can, like, if they activate Elf target Toad, you chain Crow, force the red. If they don't have red, then you just banish the Toad. You know, they activate a tier effect off of Redoer, you chain Crow. You know, they activate Branded in red. Targeting, you chain Crow. So, like, you summon birds and chain block. If your opponent sees it coming and they could telegraph it, it just means that the card's only value will come out of them shotgunning it, which is just insane. Like, dude, there's just like so many powerful interactions with specifically summoning Barrier Statue in the middle of chains resolving. Like, it was super insane, you guys. Like, I just caused so many effects that would have resolved to fizzle. It was just freaking broken, you guys. Like, oh man, it's so good. This deck's just so powerful. It's engine, like with pure engine, this deck is able to break all the boards right now. There's no unbreakable boards. I feel like people are like in panic mode. I've seen worse formats. I like Splight, and I feel like, yo, like, let me push this back a little bit because I feel like the camera's very shaky. Hold on. Okay. But like, I like Splight and all that, but I feel like, yo, like, you guys are crazy. We've seen worse formats. We've seen Rongo Miniad hand looping, like FTK formats, like a couple negates, bro. Like, it's good, but it's not unbreakable. It's not like I literally draw a hand trap or I lose. Like, I don't know about y'all, but like, yo, like there's scarier boards and older formats. Like Drytron boards were way scarier. But it's not the board. I think it's just the engine, the deck itself, what it can do. You know, how it's because it's not really what it does specifically in terms of the inboard. It's how it gets there, how it's able to, you know, navigate through interruptions, how it's able to insulate blowouts. Its ability to do it consistently. You know, Splight is very consistent. Tier is very resilient. You know, it's really hard to pick those boards apart. It's not that it puts up a bunch of negates. It's just so much chunk blocking, so much floating, so much recursion, so much snowballing, and really solid interruptions and spot removal. You know, like, these decks are very good, but they're not unbeatable. And the way I built my deck was, I was like, I'm just going to go all gas. No hand traps, no dark roller. I'm just going to play cards that enable me, that enhance my ability to play. I value my ability to play more than my ability to deny my opponent from playing. So, and that was the approach I took with Flu. And it worked out wonderfully. Let me check one more time. I feel like the angle maybe could be better. No, it's all right. But yeah, like, that's how I felt about this deck. I was like, if I can play, I just win. You know, if this deck is allowed to play, it's just it has a counterplay to everything, you know? And I'm going to get into the profile. I'm going to do my little spill. But yeah, this deck just literally has a counterplay to everything. You talk about, like, hand traps like DD Crow and Bell aren't really that good against this deck in the first place. They only can interact with Stree. And even then, you know, as long as you're smart and you use Stree to target your opponent's cards, they can't even chain DD Crow to cause a fiddle, and you can chain block it from Bell. So those cards don't matter. Cards like Droll, Veiler, and Ghostsoaker can be counterplayed by Shifter, which is really insane, and some of them also can just be dodged. And then you have cards like Imperm. Imperm exclusively is one of those cards where, like, if you don't have a way to dodge the targeting effect, if you didn't draw enough engine, it can be sometimes impactful. But then you have Ash and Gamma and Nibiru, you know, which are like the best hand traps in my opinion right now. And you could chain block Ash and Gamma, and you can stop Nibiru because you can summon Barrier Statue in the middle of your chain. So the long story short, and the gist of it, and you can counterplay droplets with like Shifter and Advent. The long story short to it is like, this deck has weaknesses. Every deck does, but this is one of the few decks that can counterplay a lot of its weaknesses. Even Floodgate's like I was doing this yesterday. Because like what was I saying? Yeah, I took this deck to my locals yesterday. I got first place. I went undefeated. I ended up pulling a Ulti Albaz out of my OTS packs, and my store credit helped me to get a restrict. So I was blessed, yo. I was happy. You know, I was feeling real good. I came into a new format with my birds and destroyed everybody. But it's like the counterplay, you know, it's insane. Like yesterday, I outed TC Boost, Skill Drain, and Gozen Match. Like, just, it was insane, bro. Like, people forget, oh, you could tribute set? What? What up, bro? Like, you could tribute set while unexplored wins? Yes, baby. Yes, you can. And now I'm about to normal summon for turn. Tribute? Like, it was just insane, you guys. The deck's just so good right now. I really feel like birds are in a good spot. When it comes to your tier matchup, that is honestly, this is like one of tier's worst matchups. Not just because of Shifter, but the ability to search Crow and Barrier Statue in the middle of chains resolving, you counterplay so, like, you pretty much hit them to the point where it's like they need to rely on the tier trap cards to do anything. Selic can be dodged, and as well as the Book of Moon can be dodged. So it's like, the tier matchup's cool, but it's not really like, it's not that bad. And the Sprite matchup, as long as you open a way to chain block your birds, you can summon cards like Barrier Statue in the middle of the chain resolving. You can get DD Crow, which helps to like force red or like just cause Toad to fizzle. And then to top it all off, you know, you're resolving cards like Impin, so like their elf gets cut off, you know, like there's just so many different things that it's just crazy. Like, you chain block your birds, like you're breaking boards going second. Like, I lost all of my dice rolls yesterday, and I still got first place, still went undefeated. So let's get into the profile, you guys. I'm so sorry. I'm like really excited right now because I'm just really proud of this deck. I just really think that Flu is super strong. Like, every hand trap that exists can be counterplayed. Board breakers, like when I got Dark Rulered, I just I used Trap because he didn't normal summon. So I flipped Trap on Res just to play it safe because I don't want this guy to like activate Branded Fusion or something or anything like that. So I flipped Trap, you know, I Eaglin Robina'd, chain blocked both of them. I always leave 2 birds in the banish zone, so I can always chain block my 2 most important effects every time. I have to respect Ash. Just because they couldn't Ash me on my first turn doesn't mean if they Ash me on their turn, like, it doesn't mean that you should stop respecting Ash. You should respect Ash the entire duel until the duel's over. You know, you're always chain blocking. Like, you should put your opponent to a point where they literally cannot Ash unless you activate Advent, because every other time you're chain blocking. But he Dark Rulered my Impin and Barrier Statue. I Eaglin Robina'd, got the second Eaglin. I got the second Impin and the second Barrier Statue, and then went Impin, Barrier Statue again. So I literally had 2 Impins, 2 Barrier Statues. 2 of them were negated, 2 were not. Scooped. Just literally just picked his cards up. It is just insane. Like, I insulated Dark Ruler. I didn't even have to do anything fancy to play around it. I just full comboed on my first turn, and he Dark Rulered me and still lost. I didn't have to search Judgment. I don't have to, like, oh, I need me a tier purple card, or, oh, I'm going to get Sprite Smashers because, like, now I can get 1 smart move if I get Dark Rulered. No, I got Dark Rulered and literally set up the same exact board, like the best board that I can set up against every deck. And I didn't have to draw anything specific, like nothing crazy. I didn't have to go out of my way. I didn't have to side deck. No, this deck's just that good. Like, it was just crazy. So, yeah. Probably one of the highlights yesterday. I'm going to talk about it, actually, after this. Because, yeah, the list, you know, I'm pretty sure you guys are like, yo, Stacks, chill, bro. Get into the list. So, here's my starters. So, we have 3 copies of Jack in the Hand. 3 Duality, 3 Extract. You know, I got rid of my Prosperities. Like I said, I sold them. I really love Advent. And I really love Map, but when it, like, so these are like all the starters, right? You have like your birds. These are like all the starters. My favorite starter is and has been for a while, Jack in the Hand. Out of all of these, besides like hard drawing Robina, you know, an Eaglin plus something else. This is the only, and I mean literally like the only one card starter in my deck that guarantees a bird. That's not like hard drawing Robina. So it's like, this is RNG, this is RNG, this requires you to draw something else, this requires you to draw something else, this requires you to draw, like all these other cards that are not literally Robina and Jack in Hand, all require for you to draw something else in tandem with them for them to function properly. But Jack in the Hand, that's why I see it like this is the best starter. It's better than drawing Robina, excuse me, simply because of the mind games. Because there's also times where I reveal DD Crow as one of my targets for Jack in the Hand. And if I'm playing against Tier, Branded, or Sprite, or even Mathmech, because I can chain Crow to Superfactorial, they sometimes have to respect the Crow so much that they have to give me a starter and take my Crow. Because if they take my starter, you know, and like say, hey, he might not have a good hand, he might not have another way to play, and they give me the Crow, and I have a way to play, now not only am I able to like play my engine and like my birds get to pop off, but now I have Crow to like counterplay your Tier that you activate off of your Mayonnaise or off of your Redoer. I have my Crow to hit your, when you activate Branded in red, and that happened against Branded when I played Despia yesterday. He had a dead, what's her name? Mirror Jade. He had used it on his turn to get Brandon in red. And I had Crow, so it's like, your Mirror Jade's dead. The only way that you can reset her is with your ad libitum, do your Guardian Chimera play, Crow. In response to Brandon in red's activation, chain Crow. So like this card, it's so good. If you reveal Crow, it's like a mind game. Like it's a matter of pressure. It's like, does your opponent have another way like to play? And if Crow is that impactful, like for Sprite, that's probably like the worst situation for me, because I feel like they're just gonna like activate Toad, tribute for cost, and then like chain Elf, and if I chain Crow, they're just gonna chain red to negate the Crow. So what's gonna end up happening is all Jack in the Hand's gonna really do is just trade with red. But that essentially means now all that they should have left is Toad plus Smasher. Quote, quote, if they drew no hand traps. But for Tier, it's like crazy, right? They kind of have to take Crow, like, because they're like, yo, like, I don't really have another way to play. Like, if I'm just ending on, like, Draco Stapilia and, like, Redoer plus, like, Trap, or if I'm ending on, like, a Tier Trap and Redoer, you know, like, Crow's kind of insane right now, because if he ashes my you know, my Trap, or, like, he dodges it and the effect can't resolve, I get no Tier effect. And if he Crows my Redoer, like, it literally, it just says, give me Robina. And if they don't, then I'm like, cool. You know, if I can play, I get Crow, and now it's easier for me to break your board. Like, I literally did not have to Dark Ruler anybody yesterday. I drew it, but I didn't, like, use it, because there was, like, a time I drew it, and I was like, yo, like, it's just one Mirror Jade. I'm not about to Dark Ruler this. I can play through it, because I want to, like, put damage on the board. So I didn't even Dark Ruler the Mirror Jade, but it's just that good. Like, I was just able to break boards with pure engine. So like I was saying, Jack in the Hand, you know, it's just really, really good. You should try it out. It's not as bad. In the mirror match, you would obviously literally just side it out. Even though it makes your deck less consistent, because it makes their deck more consistent too, unless you're just like confident that your hand's good enough to stop them. But like if this is like your only play in the mirror match, it's kind of bad, because, you know, like if you just unbreak them. So that's all my starters. They can function as extenders, being if they're map, if they are Jack in the Hand, it's like super valuable, and also Advent. Advent's just crazy. Not just for like counterplaying like Imperm and like Droplets, Chalice, all that stuff, like the meta noise and all that, but not just being a win condition in time. Like this is the reason why I was looping Impin. I looped Impin 3 times in 3 different duels yesterday. Like literally, I was just going Impin, you know, I would just grab it, activate effect, banish the Impin to search another Impin, and then I would toucan back this Impin and go Impin, boom, boom, and then tribute. It was just crazy, you guys. It was absolutely freaking insane. Like, I was opening nuts, and I didn't even, I only rised like once or twice, and only once it actually resolved. I was just using Impin all the time. Like, there was a time against Dinos when they, I didn't get Dark Ruler, but he like made me go first. Because normally I'll side all 15 of my cards in my deck, and like that's the way I side. I'll take all 15, put them in, take 15 out. I don't want them to know how many I'm siding. But he made me go first for some reason. I drew Spear Mode, but I also had full combo plus extenders. Like I was like, If he has Ash Imperm, my hand literally beats this. I had Map, I had Eaglin, and I had Advent, and I had an Impin in hand, and I had Spear Mode. So I'm like, yo, this hand's insane. Like, I'm chain blocking Ash and Gamma, and if he has the Imperm, I'm dodging it. There's like literally nothing he can do. This is just cracked. So my hand was so good, you know, I just played. He didn't have a single hand trap. I played, and then I'm like, not only is, like, if he Dark Rollers, I'm okay with it, but if he Dark Rollers me, I have a cheeky play because I had Advent set up as well. So I'm like, I can double Impin this guy. And off the first Impin, I can go into a Barrier Statue. And off the second Impin, if I want to, like via map, because I'll force him to normal summon because if I put Barrier Statue, I can tribute 3 of his monsters for a Spear Mode off of Resolution of Impin. It didn't come up, but I was like, yo, that's kind of crazy. That makes me want to side in Spear Mode when I go first just to, like, do that. I just want to do it to some... Like, I just want to resolve Impin and then tribute summon for Spear Mode. Not tributing my monsters, tributing 3 of theirs. Like, I just feel like that's so broken. It's just insane. Like, this card was everything. Like, these are your win cons right here. Like, these cards are the reason why people scoop. Toucan and Street are just pure utility, you know? They're flexible. They allow you to maneuver out of specific situations. Toucan is how you're like able to deal with a lot of different floodgates. Toucan and map really, like, and that's what I was doing. I had to like Toucan. I had to like map. I sent Trap first because I was under summon limit against Despia, and then I sent the Unexplored Winds next, and I had to do it again. So I ended up going like Trap, and then like I imped on his turn, and then I used my my Dreaming Town to book his Guardian Chimera, his Quadalis, his what's it called, Masquerade, because I was at low life, so he summoned Masquerade. I was like, oh, here we go. And then he also had Mirror Jade, but it had already used its effect. So I set all those face down. I impin on his turn. So impin was the first summon because I had impin in hand. I used Trap, so I went impin, and then I did something. I think I impin, and then I went into Ryza, just tributing off the impin, and like dealt with the summon limit, and then put my Ryza back, and I was like, I'm safe, you know, I'm not gonna die. It was just crazy. Like, dude, like, it was freaking, like, this card is just so good, but it was like, it was him in combination with Toucan that was just getting me out of, like, all these binds yesterday. Like, when I had to deal with, like, the TC Boo goes in match skill drain situation, I was like, okay, like, I didn't see skill drain in the picture. I'm like, well, TC Boo, you know, this is kind of, like, this is terrible. I literally can only out this by tribute setting with Unexplored. So I'm like, thank God I have Map and Terraforming in my hand. So if he like Conquistadors, I'll have like another chance. So I went like Map, you know, banished my Unexplored and Toucan to target the Unexplored, and I chained Rabina, and he chained Skill Drain. I chained Advent, banished the Toucan. It got off the field, so it resolved, and then I got my Advent, then I got my extra normal, and then I activated it, and then I went normal for turn, tribute Skill Drain to summon Avion. I mean, not its Skill Drain. I went tribute for turn to tribute set for turn. I tributed the TC Boo and the bird that I got off of a Toucan. I think it was Stree, but I didn't activate its effect. And then I just went like normal for turn, because like the Stree was summoned off of the res of Toucan, because like I dodged the Skill Drain, and that was like my one bird for like you know, TC Boo. And then after that resolved, and I got the Unexplored, I activated, and then I went like normal for turn, tribute set. So I tributed off my Stree and tributed his TC Boo, and set the Avion. Even though I didn't want to, I was like, if I'm gonna tribute set, like I'd rather do that, because like I can loop back Avion, but I need to have the Impin for a play on his turn. And long story short, I outed the TC Boo, the Gozen, and the Skill Drain, and beat him. Birds are so good, you guys. The double barrier statue is mainly just to insulate Dark Ruler. That's why I feel like this format, with not just with Dark Ruler, just with like Bloods being so impactful, you have to play 2 of these. I feel like you should always play 2 Impin, but like 2 and 2 of these means like the first setup, if they do something to it, you do it again, and they're like, oh, I have something again. You're like, well, I still have map, you know, and that's where it's just like crazy. That's why I like looping the Impins, because like when you loop the Impins and you keep Advent in rotation, it gives you like pseudo disruptions, because then you can just go for like Crotex, you can go for Street Banishes, and that means now like the Advent can get you an Impin, so like your next Eaglin can get a different bird. So like then when you they trigger map, like you can go Avion, you know, and it's just crazy. And that's another good thing with the looping Impin, is like you want to constantly get Trap, Unexplored Winds, and map. So like no matter what happens, like you can disrupt them even through like Dark Ruler and like Droplet. Like, and if they trigger your map, then you know you're just gonna tribute their cards and like go for another play. So yeah, you guys, this deck's just so good. It's so good. Like, oh my god, oh my god, this deck is so good, you guys. It's so good. It's a really good. It's just like a really good choices format. It's the anti-meta choice. Shifter. This is literally, if you shift your full combo, you win. Like I was gonna say this so many times. If this deck is allowed to play, it just wins. Like, cause it's like, oh, I didn't draw a hand trap on my turn, but I drew Ash for turn. If this deck's allowed to play, it is always chain blocking. It's always dodging targeting effects, and because it happens on res, like you can not hand trap it and be like, oh, I'm just gonna like do this or that. And then because the birds summon on res, you randomly summon an Avion and then like you disrupt something. Or you randomly summon an Impin and then like there's cards that just can't even do anything. Or you randomly summon a barrier statue as like part of Chainlink 3 and then you cause Chainlink 2 and 1 to fizzle because now they can't summon wins. Or you search a Crow. You know, it's just crazy. Like the most broken thing about the chain blocking the birds is that you make stuff happen as chains are resolving, so you cause certain effects to fizzle, which is so broken to me because typically you can't negate cards that are lower in a chain link when a chain's resolving because it's already resolving. You can't interact with those cards, but like when you're the way Floos do it, like they can make cards fizzle in the rest of the chain if their cards happen in the higher chain when it resolves backward. Like this deck's so skillful. Oh my gosh! And you shift your full combo, you just loop shifter, you win. Like. You Featherstorm full combo, you loop Featherstorm, they're never gonna play. You know, whatever the Floodgate tech is, you loop it with Ryza, you win. Like they're never gonna out it. They out Mystic Mine, you loop it with Ryza, you put it back, you can just keep doing it. Talents. I chose Talents over Dark Ruler. I just felt like multi-purpose cards were better. I value my ability to play more than my ability to deny my opponent from playing. I feel like Engine and follow-up is more valuable than hand traps and going second cards because they only have impact if you're able to play. But if this deck's able to play, it can dodge a lot of things. Even hard negates, good hand traps, high impact floodgates. It does it all. And Talents, that's why I valued it more than Dark Ruler because I felt like going first, if I had full combo and I could beat hand traps, I would just take my opponent's best card or the card that would like, I couldn't insulate. Like let's say my hand wasn't strong enough to play against Dark Ruler. But then going second, it's just broken. Like there's hands where I've literally had to Talents take because I went like map, summon, and it got stopped and I didn't have Advent. And I'm like, okay, so I'm literally going to have to Talents, take your monster, and then normal summon Impin for turn, and then keep going. And I'll be able to chain block him with my bird and the monster that you gave me. Thank you, sir. So Talents has a lot of utility, and that's why I like it more than Dark Ruler, even as crazy as that sounds. You guys might think I'm insane. Like, no, there's no way. Like, it's not that Talents is better. It's just like it has more functionality and better purposes for me. I like the multi-purpose utility of this card. I think it just does more for me than Dark Ruler. So I sideboard Dark Ruler in main Talents. 3 Samorg. Samorg and Map and Shifter are like the reasons why this deck can like play in the boards. With pure Engine, if the board has more than 2 negates. If the board just has like 2 disruptions, just bird cards can just beat it. But if like the board has like more than that, like 3, you know, plus even sometimes 2 really good disruptions, like cards like Samorg are just broken because you're always chain blocking your birds and you get the extra normal summons off the field spells. So like you get your normal for turn, you get your normal off map, you get your normal off of your extra normals off extending with Impin, then you get your normals off of the Samorg field spell. Shifter playing into boards is kind of cracked. It's like if you draw it as your 6th card and you activate it, against Tears, they just can't do anything. You know, there's nothing that they can do to counterplay it. They can like chain Redoer and like put Tears in grave. That's about it. Against Splight, they have to negate it, which is like kind of crazy. So it's like literally it'll just trade with the negate. If you're playing against other decks that don't put up like negates, it's kind of crazy like how this card functions. Like even if you don't stop them on their turn, if you draw it on your turn, it's kind of cracked. So like playing into boards, these cards are incredible to draw for turn, especially this card. This card's everything. This, like having this in map literally says you have to have Imperm. If you're under Shifter, it has to be Imperm. It has to be Imperm. There's like no other hand trap that would stop the bird. Like you can't Valor, you're under Shifter. You can't Ash, I'm chain blocking. You can't Gamma, I'm chain blocking. You're not gonna Nib, I'm gonna have Bear Staff you on res. You know, like you can't Crow because like I'm not using Street. You know, and by the time you can Crow, I'm always targeting cards in your grave out of respect of Crow, because Crow can't banish your cards, you can only banish mine. Other than that, I'm chain blocking gold spells. So like this card's just broken. it's like better than hand traps. It's crazy. Like, yeah, what can I say? Fill spell, absolutely nuts. These cards are like better than hand traps. I'm telling you. The one Crow, this just allows Rabina to just pressure so many different situations. Like I was saying, searching Crow on your turn or on your opponent's turn, especially in your turn, like when you're playing into boards, this gives your deck even more utility for like navigating through those situations. Because Toad, tier element cards, like Branded, you know, Math Mech, Super Factorial, like it's just I can't. I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's like it's just this deck is just so good. And when you're smart and you know what you're doing, you can really like outplay a lot of different people, and you have counterplay to the counterplay, called by broken. But like these are like these one-ups are just insane. Like these are just freaking insane. All these like just gas. Unexplored Winds. This is your side deck built into your main deck. This allows you to out everything that's not a towers. Floodgates, any floodgate, doesn't matter. The best of them, it doesn't matter. Map, Dreaming Town. The graveyard effect is just disgusting. Like literally, like that's why I don't understand why people, when they have Barrier Statue, that they choose to Ryza the normal summon. I'd rather tribute the normal summon with Unexplored Winds or book it with Dreaming Towns and summon Avion or Impin. I really don't summon Ryza like that unless I'm looping one of my cards. So if I don't have like a Shifter or a Mine that I want to put back, or a card that I feel like if I put it back and put them on a turn skip again, like it's because this deck will turn skip your opponent over and over and over. Like, and turn skips and floodgates are just better than negates. They just literally are. I just feel like there's like no counterplay to lingering turn skips. You know what I mean? So like if I don't have that, if there's no value for me, I don't like to rise at people unless like it's like a turn skip, you know? And if I'm not rising a card that turn skips them, I will only rise at them if it will turn skip them, like a Yada Lock. And that's in a simplified game state that I was probably already going to win. But I like to do it to kind of secure, you know, the next turn that they don't draw anything that's like a crazy blowout. So that's the main deck. I love this deck. I play like a beast. Extra deck, these are like links that I actually summon. Especially Omen, really, really good. I don't make these. I actually threw all these in because I needed to have a 15 card extra deck because I sold a lot of my cards, you know what I'm saying? This card might come up. I normally like to play 2 Zeus though, because even though you can rise back your Zeus, it's just not very like it's not, that's not it, baby. That's not it. Like, oh my god, I was like, yo, maybe we play double Downer, double Zeus, because like the Zeus plays in this deck are really good. My favorite Zeus line is actually with Recitaled, simply because she guarantees you a follow up for one of your birds. When you Zeus, you can play. Like, so that's really, really good, especially with having cards like Advent. Yeah, it's just crack. Just crack. It's like, if you have a way to Zeus your opponent and then get like the ideal play is like having like a way to have Map, like another copy of Map, and then to have like the bird that you get off Recital. Because that means like you Zeus your opponent and then you set up Map Bird and you can play on your opponent's turn while still having a Zeus, because it's like a 4 material Zeus. So this is like the best Zeus. I mean, and not like a 4 material Zeus. It's a 3 material Zeus. This is like the best Zeus because it's the safest play. Like, there are safer ways to summon him, but like this is the one that makes sure that you can actually keep playing if you didn't draw enough birds. So, because like that's already like it's a high requirement to even be able to set that play up. But it comes up and it's important when it does. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. God bless you. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. Be safe. Deuces is wild, baby. Oh yeah, the Mystic Mind play. Okay. There is like a broken Ryza play. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm sure people know it. Like when you have Mine and you're playing on your opponent's turn and you get to the exact number of monsters that your opponent has, and then you Ryza back all your stuff and you just leave Mine. Like you Ryza one of your monsters to the top of your deck and you Ryza his self back to hand, and you like Ryza one of their cards back to the top of their deck so that they never draw Mine out. Because you keep making them like draw the cards that are in their grave instead of what they're gonna actually draw. So like that is like the goated like Ryza play right there. Like that's like it, and that's excluding like Ryza looping Shifter. Like when I Shifter and then Ryza it back on the top of my deck and use Unexplored Winds to draw it, or I Featherstorm and then like I Ryza it on my opponent's turn, or if I Ryza it on my turn, you know, I just wins it back. And you can Ryza 2 really good cards. Like you can Ryza Call by the Grave. And you can Ryza Featherstorm and draw both of them off Unexplored Winds the same turn. Like, it just has to be one, like, you know, on the actual field. So, it's just really, really cool. I just love this deck so much. But thank you guys again. Peace.